It's not a lockdown, but it's about as close as it gets. Sweeping restrictions are now in place for people living in 7 local council areas in Sydney. Non-essential travel outside the Sydney metropolitan area is now banned. Masks are mandatory in offices for the first time, and strict social distancing rules are back. The move follows a jump in new COVID cases with 16 new infections. 10 of them are linked to a super spreader event, a birthday party. Tonight we have reporters across Sydney with the latest. Let's go first to Rani Hayman in Paddington. Rani, the spike in cases appears to have authorities really worried.
Good evening, Juanita. That's right. The combination of the highly infectious nature of this Delta virus strain and several new mystery cases that were announced today has the New South Wales government ramping up its plan of attack. Sydney's coronavirus outbreak is spreading beyond the city's east and out to the west.
Sydney's not that big when you think about it. It's not that far away.
I wouldn't think it would end up out here, but obviously it has.
I'm going to go and get a COVID test this morning and stuff like that, so just in case.
The state is in a sense of deja vu, but this time it's dealing with a highly contagious virus strain.
I have to say, as the New South Wales Health Minister, I'm as worried right now as I have been at any time since January last year.
As a result, the Premier isn't ruling out a lockdown.
I really want the public to be prepared and to know that this is an evolving situation, and the New South Wales government will not hesitate to go further and harder.
10 cases are linked to a birthday party at West Hoxton Park. About 30 people were inside the house on Saturday night. A woman in her 20s who's a worker at Westfield Bondi Junction was there and unknowingly infected with the virus. The day after the party, she developed symptoms and got tested. But the others, including a 2-year-old girl, were out in the community for at least 1 day before being directed to self-isolate.
Under my definition, I certainly would say that that party was a super spreader.
And it could have spread further. The toddler went to childcare while infectious.
All of our staff and families are self-isolating.
The cause for concern is that we have had people infectious in the community unknowingly.
That includes 4 new mystery cases who work or live in the city's southeast. One of those cases took a return flight from Sydney to New Zealand while infectious. Everyone on board is considered a close contact. The case works at a health practice in Bondi Junction, a suburb which has been given fresh health advice. Anyone at the Westfield, its car park or Fitness First gym between the 12th to the 18th of June is being urged to get tested regardless of their symptoms. More than 40,000 people got tested yesterday, but the Premier says there's only one way to end the pandemic's hold.
Until the vast majority of our population is vaccinated, these threats will be real and ongoing.
In Canberra, questions were asked.
How many outbreaks will it take before the government fixes the bungled vaccine rollout and creates a safe national quarantine system?
I spoke to the Premier earlier today and we spoke specifically about if there was any need for further vaccine doses to be distributed in New South Wales, and the Premier advised me that she was pleased with the dosage distribution.
One thing we don't have any control over is the number of doses we receive and what those doses are. Now, that is the responsibility of the Commonwealth Government.
For now, the Premier hopes tough new restrictions will rescue the city from this latest outbreak. Rani Hayman, ABC News, Sydney.
And Rani, more venues have been caught up in this outbreak.
That's right, Juanita. There seems to be more and more venues that are added to the list of exposure sites, which can be found on the New South Wales Health website. I'm here at the front of one of them. It's the Christo's Pizza restaurant at Paddington, and the lights appear to be off, the tables and chairs are up, and there's a sign on the front saying it's closed. Now, this venue here has been identified as a close contact venue, and what's of main concern at this point in time for this venue is there were 4 Nationals MPs who visited this venue on Monday night and dined here. So those MPs are currently in isolation and are being tested. It includes the New South Wales Agriculture Minister, Adam Marshall, and those people have put basically Parliament House people and staff into a feeling of concern at this point in time, because until they get those negative test results back, they will not know whether further people may have been exposed. So this venue here is one of just, as I mentioned, a number of venues that have been added to the exposure list. We also had a return bus route, which was announced this afternoon in a release from New South Wales Health. From Parramatta to Pennant Hills and back, the 600 bus route and the 665 bus route, which had close contacts on that route on Sunday the 20th of June. Also the Wetherill Park Shopping Centre and surrounding shops on the 20th of June, a cafe at Surrey Hills on the 21st, a Thai restaurant in Redfern on the same day. So as I mentioned there, the New South Wales Health website is continuously updated throughout the day. So if you do have any concerns as to whether you were at any of the exposure sites, that is the place where you can check.
Rani Heyman updating us there. Millions of people are again having to get used to a long list of restrictions, and some of the rules go further than before, all because of how quickly the Delta variant of COVID can spread.
Working out just got even sweatier. Gym goers in Sydney and surrounding areas now have to wear masks, including in high-intensity classes.
A bit hard, but it is what it is.
I would rather come to the gym and keep it open. If we have to wear masks, we have to wear masks. That's all we can do.
It's a restriction even Victorians were spared.
The mask wearing is definitely a negative for us, as it will affect business, and a lot of members will not come in and train in a mask.
In workplaces across Sydney, it was masks on at 4 p.m. For the first time, they're now mandatory inside the office.
We're all in this together, and if we want to get through it and see the end of this pandemic, we all need to cooperate and make sure we're doing the right thing.
And in all indoor settings, except the home. Under the restrictions, masks will also be compulsory at all organised outdoor events, including sporting matches. Those events will be capped at 50% of seated capacity. There'll also be no dancing or standing while drinking at indoor venues. Churchgoers and audiences at concerts will be banned from singing indoors. Hospitality venues will revert to the 1 person per 4 square metre rule, including for weddings, and people will only be allowed 5 visitors to their home. Artist Ralph Stanton's home was meant to be filled with music, friends and family for his 80th birthday party next week. Then he heard about the restrictions.
Oh no. Oh no.
Now the caterers are cancelled and relatives flying in from interstate have called off their trips.
I'm going to be 80, I can't believe it. In fact, what I'm going to do is put off being 80 until I can have my party.
How long he'll be waiting is anyone's guess. Sarah Garathy, ABC News.
Well, the COVID crackdown has also ruined travel plans for thousands of people. Let's go to Amy Greenbank at Sydney Airport now. Amy, school holidays are upon us and all of a sudden we've got travel bans and borders going up.
That's right, Juanita, and just in the last few moments, the Queensland Premier has announced she's slamming the borders shut to all of Greater Sydney from tomorrow, along with the Blue Mountains, the Central Coast, Wollongong and Shell Harbour. It comes after WA and South Australia banned anyone from New South Wales entering, and other states and territories have introduced travel restrictions too. It's left families scrambling to salvage their holiday plans.
Some were able to squeeze through before the travel ban.
We're just making it through just on time. So don't forget to keep a safe distance.
But for others, it was too late. Told mid-air they're going straight into isolation.
The directions came in 20 minutes odd before we landed.
The travel restrictions coming thick and fast. Those that live and work in these 7 local government areas are being told not to leave metropolitan Sydney.
So this comes down to our health orders, but also exercising common sense.
Travelling interstate is out of the question. WA and South Australia have banned anyone from New South Wales. Other states and territories are only locking out those from affected areas for now.
New South Wales seems to have an uncanny ability to time its COVID outbreaks for maximum school holiday disruption. The last time we saw major border closures was with the Northern Beaches cluster, which hit right before Christmas.
With school holidays to start next week, local businesses are preparing to wave goodbye to their tourism dollars.
We're starting to see the cancellations come through from people in those areas in Sydney that can't travel now.
Bookings at Byron Bay have also dried up.
We were looking forward to being at around 80% occupancy this weekend, and that's dropped 30% straight away.
What date was your booking?
And caravan park owners have had enough.
Really frustrating. Yes, it seems like the start of every holidays, something happens. There's an outbreak somewhere.
And that's a sentiment we can all share. Amy Greenbank, ABC News, Sydney.
Let's bring in our state political reporter Ashley Raper, who's at Macquarie Street. Ashley, the Premier has been adamant she wouldn't force another lockdown unless absolutely necessary. Do you think this current level of restrictions is as far as she'll go?
No, Juanita, the Premier has indicated she's likely to go further and is urging people to be prepared for that to happen. If Gladys Berejiklian does bring in harsher restrictions, it will be a dramatic departure from her usual approach. The Berejiklian government prides itself on being the government that doesn't lock down a state. But what was announced today is a partial lockdown. We've seen time and time again that the Premier is in no rush to put in tough rules, and that's because she has so much faith in the state's contact tracers. They are untested, though, with the Delta strain, which is proving to be more contagious and makes people infectious more quickly. So in response to that, Juanita, it's likely there will be a lockdown by the end of the week.
Ashley Raper reporting there. As the nation's vaccination program ramps up, the Health Department has released long-awaited weekly vaccine projections. In New South Wales, between July and August, up to 900,000 shots of AstraZeneca and up to 240,000 doses of Pfizer are expected per week. In September, up to 450,000 AstraZeneca, 430,000 Pfizer and 43,000 Moderna. By October, AstraZeneca will be by request only. Pfizer will carry the load at 770,000 doses and Moderna providing up to 212,000 shots.